That's what happened a minute ago, right?
But it's good if it's on mute.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's well. So we've placed you on mute, but you can unmute yourself when the talking bit happens. So right now we can set our motivation this morning. Actually, not only good morning for all our Muslim friends, Eid Mubarak, and then for ourselves, today is the beginning of the month of Sakadawa. So during May, we're celebrating Vesak. So same, we just keep the celebration going. Tibetan Buddhas, we like to celebrate as much as possible. So a very auspicious month of Sakadawa, which is the 4th month of the Tibetan calendar, which that transition today. Culminating on the actual Sakadawa day that we celebrate on the 5th, Friday the 5th. So we'll keep you in tune on what Geshe-la's got planned, because we had one plan pre-COVID, and now it's like, I have to say Geshe-la's been a bit unleashed and the plans are getting bigger and bigger. So we'll just see. Also, Happy Turtles, World Turtle Day. And in our nuns community here, some of you know, we have mummy turtle with the little bubbies. They're ceramic, right? Unfortunately, we don't have an actual turtle with bubbies, but maybe it's not the right environment, so maybe that's a good thing. And a little love heart that's bigger, much bigger than the babies, but not much bigger than the mummy. And this was to symbolize a story that Lama Zopa Rinpoche mentioned. Rinpoche watches a lot of documentaries, animal documentaries, or watches some anyway, and then conveys to us the stories of where they're pertinent, which was this one, was that, you know, when the baby turtles are born, you know, and then, you know, they have to run down to the water and hopefully survive to get to the water. Well, as Rinpoche said, as long as the mummy turtle has her babies in her heart, they survive. So this is the power of love, isn't it? The power of loving kindness, the power of the love of a mother. Well, not for her only one child, because they have quite a few, don't they, little babies? Anyway, it's just such a delightful story. So Venerable Palyan, who's now in retreat, when we were on our way down to meet Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he came last time to Chenrezig Institute, we're on our way down to the airport, we bypassed a woman who was selling the little ceramic babies, turtles, and got those and set it up for Rinpoche's visit. So it was quite delightful. Anyway, so on that note, I thought good to start today with a meditation on loving kindness, which is a meditation on Maitreya Buddha, the coming Buddha of loving kindness. So this is, you know, we say compassion, as His Holiness said, so much needed in the world. So just to distinguish, the compassion we're saying is the mind wishing for all beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So we started yesterday with Chenrezig Buddha meditation. And then, you know, the whole of what we're doing here is, of course, cultivating that mind of compassion. And that'll come a bit, meditations on that coming a bit later with the practice, the method of exchanging self for others. But to start with, to set the ambience of having a meditation in relation to Maitreya Buddha. So I've sort of placed as an image of Maitreya Buddha here. I'm not sure if people can see it clearly. Maitreya Buddha, who's sitting on a throne, Bodhicitta heaven, ready to come down. So just before we went into lockdown, we that we had a weekend. Our last weekend was Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, Gandhin Ligama, which is, you know, the visualization of Bodhicitta heaven, and with Lama Tsongkhapa up there, and the two sons in, you know, as great holy beings, and then Maitreya Buddha. And this, you know, it's a practice we do here every day since Ling Rinpoche's, at least since Ling Rinpoche's bestowing that practice, giving us a transmission of that 2016, 15, 14, anyway, a few years ago. And so this is what we do as an annual retreat. So we usually do it Easter, but we managed to get it in just before, because Lama Zopa Rinpoche was going to be giving the transmission. Of course, you know, that Rinpoche wasn't able to come. But, you know, that beautiful curd of Bodhicitta, the fluffy clouds from the heart of Maitreya. It's so beautiful, isn't it, coming down to bless us. Soft white curd, the heart, soft heart of Bodhicitta. So we can generate that heart ourselves, you know, softening our heart, and a heart of loving kindness. And the other thing, Maitreya Buddha, well, there's many things about Maitreya Buddha, but Lama Yeshe's will, Lama Yeshe put in his will one thing, the building of Maitreya statue. The plan was for it to be, I think, 50 stories high. Anyway, it's been slightly modified. Where it's being built is Kushinagar, which is where Shakyamuni Buddha passed into parinirvana, and that's what we commemorate this month of Sakadawa. So that is the birthplace of Maitreya Buddha, arising in that same place. And this huge statue of Maitreya is for world peace and generating loving kindness throughout the world. And yet they say, you know, where a Buddha statue is, that's where the Buddhas are. So we think about that actually being Maitreya Buddha present with us. So we know that peace in the world starts with peace in our own minds. And the mind of loving kindness, when Chodron Rinpoche visited Long Bay Prison, and one of our students of the prison project had an opportunity, he said, this is the only opportunity I'll get to ask a question of a High Lama. Well, I don't know if he got to ask a question. He did get to ask a question of Chodron Rinpoche, but of course, subsequently he was working for Dalai Lama in Australia. But I don't think he got to ask His Holiness the question, because you know, it's not like you're hanging out with the Dalai Lama when you're in those roles. Anyway, he did get to ask, and he asked Chodron Rinpoche, His Eminence Chodron Rinpoche, previous Chodron Rinpoche, his reincarnation is now established. You know, what practice should I do for my life, right? And Chodron Rinpoche said, be kind. Be kind. Now, that's an instruction you're not going to forget. It's a simple instruction, but when you unpack it and say, I'm going to be kind in every moment of my life, we can see how sometimes that's challenging, can't we? Nonetheless, we cultivate here now the mind of loving kindness with the ultimate manifestation of that body of loving kindness, Maitreya Buddha. So focusing on that. So that will be our first meditation. meditation. And this meditation from Venerable Sangye Kadro, composed for the Maitreya Buddha project. And years ago, you could go online when they were having the Maitreya Buddha Relics Tour, which was to raise money for the statue. So the tours, there were tours around Asia, around Australia, around the US, around Europe. So that project's now, what do we say? Changed, metamorphed something into morphed, not metamorphed. Well, it could have metamorphed as well. Morphed into the Maitreya project at Kushnagar. Anyway, so it's happening. It's happening. It's got a lot of obstacles. You'd expect that, but it is happening. We never give up. So this meditation, then you used to be able to go online and there'd be a map of the world and where that meditation was being done around the world. So at Vajrayana Institute, where I was at that point, Friday morning meditation was for a long time on Maitreya Buddha. So we're on the map, it's just like, so you could join in. It's sort of prevalent at this time, isn't it? It's a shame that's not still there, because we could be all from our separate location saying, yeah, I'm doing this meditation. Okay. All right. So setting yourself ready for meditation. And also Venerable Wongmo just mentioned, Ingrid, if you're there, that we've had the lights in front of Maitreya Buddha for your father. It's one of the things we do over the 49 days, keep light offerings going. So that your dad, whichever manifestation that is in whichever lifetime, meets with Maitreya Buddha. Because I only say whichever manifestation because Maitreya Buddha is predicted to come in, I don't know if it's millions, 9 of them. Anyway, a long time away. In other words, things get worse in the world before then. But everything subject to change. So, all right, with that introduction, setting your body, speech, and mind into a state conducive for meditation, which means in the sitting posture, for when we're doing visualization meditations like this, sitting is the most beneficial posture to do this. It helps with the visualization because if you're lying down, you sort of have to translate it into a different, into the horizontal ways. Yeah, vertical. So nice, long, straight back, and then the rest of your body can relax, be at ease. And settling your awareness, withdrawing from our engagement with the sensory world around us. So withdrawing the sense consciousnesses, bringing your awareness into the space of the body. It's already a relief for the mind. Just checking in with your inner experience. And focusing on the natural rhythm of your breath without changing a thing. It's perfect. Just dwelling in, luxuriating in each moment of the breath in, each moment of the breath out. The breath out, releasing, relaxing, letting go any tension, any tightness, any grasping at thoughts or so forth. Just release. And then on the breath in, bringing that energizing energy of the oxygen of the breath, replenishing all the organs, all the cells, and slightly tightening your focus on the breath, not squeezing, keep everything relaxed, but just to cultivate that alertness on which we can develop, sort of concentration on the breath. So finding your own balance. And you can think I'm engaging in this meditation practice on the Buddha Maitreya, Buddha of loving kindness, in order to generate more and more, cultivate more and more the loving kindness that's already there in, such magnificence in my own mind, to cultivate that for the benefit of the world, not just for world peace, but cultivating a mind focused on cherishing others' well-being. And even more, to determine to become enlightened, to become a Buddha myself, to myself become just like Maitreya Buddha for the benefit of the world, all worlds, all beings. Then visualizing in the space in front of you at eye level, just about a meter in front, a figure that, or image that represents for you absolute purity, absolute goodness, absolute loving kindness, peace, universal love and compassion. So here, Maitreya Buddha, the embodiment of loving kindness, or, you can substitute that with another Buddhist figure from another faith tradition, or simply one of the pure. Just think of the purity, regardless, the pure, that you're in the presence of pure, absolute loving kindness, no discrimination. It could be a sphere of light, a beam of light, white, golden light, radiant. Because when we see Maitreya Buddha, it's in the aspect golden light here where we have. Regardless of which one. So we'll focus on Maitreya Buddha, but it's in the aspect of light. It's not solid. It's pure light, and you can feel the radiant energy of that loving kindness radiating towards you and towards all other beings equally. We can visualize all other beings seated around us, every atom of space, engaging with the practice, arising in human form. So then focusing on the image of Maitreya, for those who wish to, body's radiant golden light. He's peaceful, youthful, smiling, delighting in your engaging in this practice, coming together in this practice of loving kindness, generating that energy in the world. Just having the thought generates that energy in the world. So as we go through the meditation, don't try and hold on to every single little bit or so forth. The main thing is that you're in the presence of that pure, positive quality, loving kindness, compassion, universal love, universal responsibility. And the power and wisdom of the Buddha, all arising in the aspect of Maitreya Buddha in front of you. And try and get a sense of, the loving concern Maitreya Buddha has for you and for each other being in the world, in the universe, in all known, unknown universes, equally, in the nature of light. Maitreya Buddha doesn't discriminate that people are beautiful or that they're ugly or that they're kind or that they're unkind or hostile or intelligent or dull, Buddhist or not. Maitreya Buddha loves all beings equally, not because of their behavior or their appearance, simply because they exist. Semchen, mind possessors, they have potential themselves, every single one, to become a Buddha, including us, especially us. Maitreya Buddha looks upon all of us like a mother does for her precious child, like the mummy turtle does for her babies. Holding them in his heart, holding us in his heart. Holding us dear, precious, and deserving of love, deserving of kindness, simply because we exist. The love of Maitreya Buddha is constant, not conditional, not fleeting, continuous, boundless love, immeasurable love to immeasurable beings, wishing for the happiness of all beings without exception. The aspect of Maitreya Buddha's love is completely pure, forgiving, understanding, non-judgmental, no strings attached. And understanding that yourself and all other beings have that equal capacity to develop such love, such unconditional, boundless love. Really believe that. Feel that. And visualize that radiant light radiating out from the heart of Maitreya Buddha, the pure love of, pure light of loving kindness, streaming out and flowing down through the crown of your head, filling up your body from the tips of your toes up to the top of your head, out to the extremities of your fingers, filling your legs, arms, torso, everything, your head, right up to the top, every cell, every atom, every particle of your being filled with pure radiant light. And as it fills you up, it dissolves, eliminates all your pains, all your discomforts, any sickness, all your mental unhappiness, all your negative thoughts, all your disturbing emotions. And the imprints on our mental continuum, the tendencies towards harm, towards negativity of our speech, of our actions, of our mind. Completely eliminated. Everything in your body, mind, completely purified. And everything that disturbs your body and mind from a coarse level to the most subtle level disappears, just like the darkness disappears when you turn on the light or when the sun arises in the world, the sun of loving kindness of Maitreya Buddha, illuminating the world, illuminating your heart. So imagine then that your whole body is totally suffused with this blissful, radiant light of loving kindness. Becomes clear like space. Pure like a piece of crystal, translucent, radiating out rays of light. Completely transformed. And your mind becomes calm, becomes clear, free of disturbing thoughts and filled only with feelings of loving kindness and compassion, your heart connection with Maitreya Buddha and with others. Really feel that. Be that. Imagine you become inseparable from Maitreya Buddha, from that essence of loving kindness and compassion visualized in front. You become like that. Totally compassionate, loving, kind, peaceful, blissful. And let your mind dwell within that experience of peace, of bliss, of unconditional love, without thinking of anything else, abiding there. Then generate the aspiration, the pure aspiration to share this experience, this blissful, radiant, loving kindness, this purity of mind and heart, to share that with others so that they too become free of suffering, from the most coarse physical level suffering to the most subtle, from the most coarse disturbing mental states and, anger and craving and so forth, down to the most subtle imprints on their mental continuums. And imagine that same loving kindness, that purity radiating from your heart in all directions, like rays of light emanating from the sun. And that it first touches those around you, maybe your family, your friends, those who are near, your neighbors, all our human friends and animal friends, you know, in your area where you live. And imagine they become filled, their bodies become filled, their minds become filled with this pure, radiant light, this powerful, loving kindness, purely generated from your heart, inspired by Maitreya Buddha, filling their hearts and minds, filling their bodies, transforming, purifying anything that causes them suffering, and arising their own pure loving kindness, compassion, pure hearts. Their minds completely peaceful, blissful, radiant loving kindness. Really feel that. Connect with that, with them. And continuing to send that pure energy, light, bliss of loving kindness out further and further to all the people in Queensland or wherever you are. You may not be in Queensland, in Australia, in the world. Just keep it going. Let it extend out more and more. People in other countries. So gradually, more and more, all people, all countries of the world, their hearts and minds completely eliminated of any suffering, including their bodies, any suffering of illness, any suffering of coronavirus or other illnesses and so forth. Any grief of losing dear ones. Any fear of losing dear ones, any fear of, the pandemic has arisen. We think about people in India, we think about the people in Brazil who are, I think now the cases there are getting more and more and more. In the US, in all the countries of the world where people are affected, which is the whole world. May their hearts and minds be filled with loving kindness. May they be free of all that fear. And sending out this same unconditional loving kindness, like rays of the sun radiating from your heart, blissful, radiant, pure love, pure kindness, out of concern for all beings. So we think of all the marine life or the animals or the insects or the beings in the earth all the way down. They keep finding more and more beings the further down they go. All those beings from the most microscopic up to the most huge, may their hearts and minds be filled with loving kindness. May they, light of loving kindness, dispel the darkness of the hearts, dispel the disturbing states of mind, dispel their pains, their suffering. And even the imprints of that, the tendencies towards that create the karma for more suffering. and imagine their hearts and minds completely filled with this pure, loving kindness that doesn't discriminate, that doesn't judge, that is pure concern for our fellow beings in this world. And sending out that same loving kindness from your heart towards all beings in the universe, all universes, all known universes, all unknown universes. As far as space pervades, they all become filled with this powerful energy of loving kindness. Just like the mummy turtle for her baby turtles, we have in our heart for all beings. So now, imagine the beings everywhere, every atom of space, completely free of all negative thoughts, all disturbing minds, all wish to give harm, all intolerance, all greed. And are filled only with loving thoughts. So now there is peace, peace in the minds of all beings everywhere. Really feel that, dwell with that, whatever experience of that in your mind, sit quietly with that for as long as you can. Really feel your heart connection with all beings everywhere. And that same loving kindness, unconditional, blissful, radiant light radiates back to your heart from all beings on every atom of space and radiates to each other on every atom of space. Pure, blissful, radiant, loving kindness filling the world. May all beings live in peace. May all beings live in safety. May all beings generate the mind of loving kindness as long as space exists, as long as sentient beings remain. May I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So in your own time, gradually take that loving kindness that we've cultivated in this meditation inspired by Maitreya Buddha. We take that out into the world. For now, just gradually holding it in your heart, but gradually returning your awareness to the space you're in, the space around you, the air in your skin. And when you're ready, open your eyes, gradually adjust to the light, to the sights around you. Kindly, lovingly, caringly. Bring that loving kindness into the world in reality. And if you need to stretch or wriggle or release any bits of the body, warm up. Excuse me. Virginia, wishing you a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Virginia. Oh, no, sorry, not today yet. Oh, well. Sakadawa is your birthday. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, we'll have to celebrate on Sakadawa.
Yes.
We don't know what we're doing then yet. We can have a birthday cake for Virginia. Fantastic. We won't ask you your age. A good age. Yep. So, oh, she shared it anyway, 57. So young.
A baby.
You're a baby. It's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative. Wonderful. You know, last night I was circulating around to some of our more youthful members. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is going to have a dialogue with youth. And so you can join on Zoom if you're between 16 and 35. So if you want to know about that and you are in that category, just get in touch. It's been organised through one of the centres in Singapore. Oh, well, not organised, but they're coordinating or something in terms of getting the link. And so one of our young people who said, but I don't really have anything to say to dialogue with the Dalai Lama. Can you just, be a silent participant? And I said, well, actually, I remember one time in Sydney, His Holiness came, we had the Young Minds Conference and 100 young people on stage and 800 or so more around and about. All the schools came and everything. Well, a number of the schools came. And all the 100 on stage had rehearsed their question. And Miss Benita rehearsed that with them before they went on stage, and they'd already come prepared and all of that. Every single one from the teeniest tiny to up, I think it was up to 25 years or something like that. Anyway, they all rehearsed, and I think maybe 5 got to actually ask their question, but including cute little Eve. And so she was quite small, and she came, His Holiness wanted to look at all the children, and he wanted the kids, some of them were big kids, in other words, in their 20s, but she was one of the first ones. And she came and she was, I think 7, I think. Anyway, so she came up to His Holiness, and he just stood her, he was sitting in a chair, and he stood her between his legs and put his head on her head and made her feel so comfortable. And then there was another young boy, he was 10. And it would be great to see where these kids are now. It was like His Holiness gave him instructions for life. He wanted to know, his question was about world peace, and he got the whole instructions for the rest of his life, I think. Anyway, His Holiness took his hand and could feel the sweat. And he said, His Holiness said, oh, when I get nervous, I sweat too. It's okay. And he's wiping the sweat off. It was so beautiful. This is loving kindness in action, isn't it? He just made them feel at ease. It's so beautiful. Anyway, inspiration. Yeah. Okay. Is there any comments people want to make? Anything you want to share? I shouldn't say that, should I? It might be inappropriate. About this meditation topic. I have to be specific. Otherwise, we'll go on and launch into this method of equalizing and exchanging self for others. Question, Claire. Is loneliness classified as an afflictive state of mind? So afflictive state of mind would be one that disturbs, just put it simply, our mental equilibrium, right? Disturbs the natural state of your mind, which is to be calm. And so even getting too excited, particularly, well, it depends, in meditation, we don't want an overexcited mind. We know what that does. It distracts us off onto wrong things. So we want to have an even-mindedness. That's what we want to attain, is a state of even-mindedness. Of course, within that even-mindedness, we enjoy things and so forth, but not grasping at them. So we have to look if this, so I think loneliness, if we looked at the aspect of loneliness being a thing that's disturbing our minds, being alone is fine, but the loneliness that comes, that brings our mind down, perhaps. So we'd have to look at the quality of that within our mind and of it disturbing our mind. So this is not a judgment. It's just noticing these things are not beneficial to my mind, to me, to my experience in the world. So it's not, loneliness wouldn't be classified in the group of, when we look at, the afflictive states of mind, we look at anger and aversion and the ignorant or confused mind, which we say are the three poisons. They poison our mind, they're toxic for our mind. And then the ones that, and then we talk about all these other secondary afflictions, about 20 of those. But of course, as the Buddha said, there's 84,000 afflictions. So you say, does it afflict my mind in the sense of, does it just, is it accompanied by a sense of loss or a sense of, I don't know, depression or grief or things like that? So then we have to look at that and saying, yeah, this disturbs my mind. So what disturbs it is the grasping at wanting everything to be nice, agreeable. The mind grasping at that, the mind grasping at not wanting to have any unpleasant experiences. So it's really the attachment that comes on top, so that, in the presentation of, the mental afflictions, it says that we start by looking at the one of attachment or desire. We live in a desire realm. This is a desire realm. Now the shops have opened. I think that's become really obvious. The desire has overridden people's sense of social distancing, being driven. You see that. That's the mind of desire. And then when you don't get what you want, or you're made to do things you don't want, all those other things can come along as well. So that, And of course, then the Buddha said, well, yes, it's driven by the desire, the craving, and then the craving comes on top of that, that sense of attachment to things being, you know, we talk about worldly concerns, but, you know, things, basically things being as I want them to be, we can say simply. And, you know, we've all got our own universal bubble. Lama Yeshe said we all exist in our own world, our own universe we build around us. And when that gets disturbed, then these other experiences come along which disturb our mind, which get in the way of us, you know, cultivating these, you know, pure states of mind, which are innate to us. So the Buddha said all of these ones on top are adventitious. Now, the only time I ever hear that word is in a Buddhist teaching, adventitious. Oh, that's so adventitious. It's not something I do in everyday conversation. It means it's impermanent. It's not permanent. In other words, it's not a natural state. It's not natural to our mind. So all the negativity because of that can be removed. It's like the pollution in the water, the analogy is used. Water is by nature pure, right? By nature, pure, pristine water. And we're the same way we filter the water to get out all the impurities, we filter our mind. We do different meditations. And so for one, to like this, what we're doing here, cultivating the positive states of mind, but also we can also look at the disturbing states of mind and meditate on releasing those states of mind. First of all, becoming aware of it. So fantastic to be aware of it, but then it's the mind that elaborates on top of that awareness a whole big story. And we do that in a nanosecond, right? Don't we? Absolutely. Yes. Okay, Claire, something to go on with. Good. Thank you. Okay, so this practice equalizing and exchanging self with others. I saved it for today because this is for the sharp faculty ones. So both of these practices are 7-point cause and effect. And the equalizing and exchanging self for others, both of those, as those of you who participated in the weekends we had on the teachings of how to develop Bodhicitta, and I know quite a few of you did, both of them were initially passed on in secret, orally. And why? Because here we are, this is actually the deep end of the pool. And so in this presentation, equalizing, exchanging self for others, one of the things we look at is the disadvantages of self-cherishing and the advantages of cherishing others. So when we say equalize and exchange self for others, is equalize, exchanging my habit of just looking after number one to realizing, oh, there's a hell of a lot more of you out there than there is the one of me. And why be just looking after number one when I can look after 7.6 billion, or at least having a concern for that. Maybe I can't look after them all, but at least having the wish for them to be free of their suffering, which is on the basis of which we develop the mind of bodhicitta. So this is advanced technique. Now, it's not so you are included in that. Just got to say, you are including that in that grouping. You know, we don't say, oh, everyone but me, because then we experience the I will just arise bigger and bigger. What about me? But we are one of, but it's just to put the perspective of, yes, I am one of, but I'm only one of, right? So it's to extend, or as his Holly says, widen our circle of love, widen that. That it's not based just on, you know, myself, me and mine, my family, my people, even my country, even my world, you know, however big my mind is, my mine, is. Okay, so all right. So yesterday we had these steps: equanimity, reflecting on the kindness of others. So these are still preliminary steps within the equalizing and exchanging self for others. Okay, so we can get started with that. All right. And it's on the basis of, as Shanti Deva said, whatever joy there is in this world comes from desiring others to be happy. And whatever suffering there is in the world comes from desiring myself to be happy, like just me to be happy, regardless of others. So it's cultivating those attitude or an understanding of what Shantideva means there. Lama Zopa Rinpoche put together a selection of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's quotes and little meditations were put together some years ago in a book, How to Be Happy, little blue book like this, How to Be Happy. And that's wonderful because it totally is on this topic, and has little quotes like this one from Shantideva. And then they're quite nice ones to use as a daily reflection, meditation, little, going through yourself. Okay, so here we'll introduce this meditation, these topics in meditation. Previously, we looked at it in the teachings, but to, sort of get a experiential understanding. Okay. Setting your body in a balanced state, conducive to meditation. In other words, relaxed, still, and alert. And then attending to the natural rhythm of your breath, wherever you experience that in your body, either the rising and fall of the abdomen or the air coming in and out of your nostrils. And as you do that, as you settle your mind into the space of your body by simply focusing on the breath, any thoughts that come and distract you from engaging in the meditation, release the energy around that, just like let them go like clouds in the sky. We can't grab hold of them, so don't try. Just let them float across the sky of your mind, the space of your mind. They come, they go. Just let them be. You don't have to grab hold. So you're not going to either push them away or grab hold of them. They will dissolve naturally back into that space of your mind. Simply focus on the breath. And think that you're engaging in this meditation not just for your own benefit, but to cultivate the mind, or Bodhicitta, the awakening mind, seeking enlightenment, seeking myself to become a Buddha. I can't bear to see the suffering in the world, and I want all beings to be free of that. And the way I most skillfully can help those beings is just as all past Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have done. We're cultivating a kind heart towards all beings, on the basis of which cultivating compassion, on the basis of which cultivating great compassion, on the basis of which cultivating bodhicitta, on the basis of which becoming a Buddha. So the foundation for the practice of equalizing and exchanging self with others, cultivating this even mindedness, meditating on equanimity that regards all beings, regardless of whether they're my friends, my family, whether they irritate me, whether they help me, whether I'm indifferent to them because they do neither. Every single one, we are all the same, physically, mentally, emotionally. We're all the same as human beings, and then maybe not the same physically for all the other beings, but mentally, emotionally, pretty much all the same, wanting to be happy and want to avoid suffering. So in that way, we are the same. In that way. So we can understand how it is for others, because I too want to be free from suffering. I too don't want a moment of that. I want all my moments to be happy ones. I want to experience continual happiness. So if you wish to, like yesterday, you can call to mind in front of you 3 beings, one you're close to, one you're distant from or disregarding or indifferent towards, and then one you have difficulty with, presses your buttons and so forth. Friend, stranger, enemy, as it's said. And contemplate that the differences we perceive between these 3, that we label them in those categories, is merely a product of my own mind, my own attitude. It is not something that inherently resides in them from their own side, because not everyone puts them in those categories. And I indeed, even in this life, haven't always put them in those categories. So contemplate the infinite different types of relationship you've had with each and every one of these. Have had, and therefore will have. And then reflecting on their kindness towards me and the wish to repay their kindness. Think everything good we have in our lives, every possession, all our food, all our clothing, all our housing, all our roads, all our cars, all our good experiences, all our education, everything we have at all in this world comes in dependence on others. There's no such independent moment of my existence, actually. And think how limitless beings have worked so hard to provide all the good things I have in this life. All the things I have in this life. Everything to support my existence comes from the kindness of others. They've worked hard, sometimes even giving their lives, for our food that grows, or and so forth. We can think all the beings who've died, even for just one meal we consume. Incredible. Or for our clothing. Incredible. And all our inner qualities, all our good characteristics have developed, are developing, will develop in relation to others. I need others to cultivate a kind heart, to cultivate universal love, to cultivate great compassion. It is on the basis of other beings we cultivate these minds. Wouldn't make sense otherwise. It's only in relation to others I can practice ethics and gradually perfect the practice of moral discipline in relation to others, not harming, refraining from harm, wishing to benefit, practicing virtue. Even taking vows, even taking the vows dependent on others, and then living in those vows for sure depends on others. Because it's also in relation to others I break those vows, so keeping them is also in relation to others. And it's in relation to others through my ethics that I cultivate good behavior, kind, truthful, beneficial speech, harmonious speech. Saving lives, practicing generosity, the generosity of giving love, the generosity of wishing to benefit others. Best way we can do that through the Dharma. Of course, we can give material support. Of course, we do that. Perfecting the mind of generosity is the wish to give limitlessly,
So he seems to have lost this, lost Chen Rez again.
Graham, I've messaged somebody in the Gompa to see if I can get their attention if they know.
Righto. They're still on YouTube. I might get onto YouTube and have a look.
Yeah. Yeah. See if they're still, they may not even know.
How do I get out of this one? There we go.
It's got me down as the host.
The hostess with the mostest.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think best to turn the video off to reduce the bandwidth. We can unmute, but it's best to turn the video off, I think.
No, I think we've actually lost the Gompa though.
Oh,
That's
right.
the point. We've lost them as hosts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get their attention in the Gompa.
Mm.
So do you think we should maybe log out and log back in? Would that work, do you think?
Well, we seem to have lost them.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all on there, they're not.
Mm.
How many people have we got? We've still got
So
everybody.
Sophie's just given me, Sophie's put a message on. She's at Chenrezig. She's going up to the Gompa to let them know.
I'm just wondering, we've still got everybody on the actual list here.
Yeah, they might have lost the internet, I think. I think you could be right there, Ross.
So we've still got all the participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have, we don't
We
have
just don't have
Chenrezig.
them. Maybe yeah, as you say, they've just probably lost the connection somehow.
Mm.
Like, what's everyone can face YouTube?
Yeah, contacted someone, Sarah, and I think Sophie's going up to the Gompa now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's still. Oh, so they've lost it on YouTube as well.
Yes.
So they're not on YouTube either. They're about 20 seconds delay on YouTube. It's funny because I just heard what I said to you before. No, you can't see that. Yes. That's on YouTube. Yeah, right, I might have to
Yeah, just wait for a while, I think. Just some problem with the internet.
I think they're back now. They're just coming back in.
Okay.
So I hope you were continuing to meditate. So I think we got up to equalizing self with others. So when I think of myself, when I think of me, it becomes so huge in my mind, isn't it? Just becomes so all-consuming in my mind. I feel, you feel your chest puff up. And when I think of others, just saying the word, just hearing the word in my mind, they seem out there, distant, long way away, disconnected, separate from me, isn't it? So they don't seem to consume the space of my mind in the same way. And intellectually, I know there's more of them and only one of me, but look what happens in our mind. This is how our self-cherishing mind relates to the world. Just get a sense of that. And to counteract this, shift your focus to observe others as equally wanting to be happy, as equally wanting to avoid suffering. We're exactly the same. Contemplate that again and again. This is what connects me to each and every other sentient being without exception. There is no separation in that. All the problems, all the difficulties I experience in the world comes from this self-cherishing thought. It has kept me locked in the prison of samsara for numberless lifetimes, compelling me to suffer again and again in all realms of existence. It stopped all my opportunities, all my spiritual progress on the path completely grinds to a halt with the self-cherishing thought. So it blocks having any realizations. I can say over and over again, you know, I'm doing this for the welfare of all sentient beings, but as long as the self-cherishing thought is there, we have to check up. Am I actually doing this for the benefit of all beings, or just for number one, this self-cherishing thought? We've done this from beginningless time. All the harm, all the suffering we experience and have experienced is on the basis of self-cherishing. Thinks what happens when somebody accuses us of something and our self-cherishing rears up in defense. This self-cherishing has blocked me from understanding the Dharma, let alone practicing it. It hasn't even allowed for the happiness of this life. Just think what happens, you know, when we get angry, irritated, frustrated with others, out of our so-called comfort zone. We don't experience even the happiness we're seeking of this life, let alone any enduring happiness, lasting happiness. And as long as I don't change this attitude, I'm going to continue to have this experience of suffering over and over again. It turns others into my enemy because they don't do what I want. Even my guru can become my enemy. That's heavy. That's heavy negative karma. In my dear ones, my friends, my family. Just look at the world, what happens again and again. Even my body and all my possessions become a burden because of self-cherishing. It all arises from clinging to an I, me, that doesn't exist anyway. So Shanti Devi said, what should I do with this great demon? So it doesn't make sense. This self-cherishing thought is bad news. I think when you were a child at a birthday party, when they cut the cake, what was your first thought? To get the biggest slice. It's a typical way of self-cherishing things like this. And when we exchange ourselves for others, in other words, put our attention towards others, their welfare, we put them in the place we occupied ourselves. We put them first and ourselves second. You can experiment. You have the cake. Think about all the ways that you can put others first and yourself second in your daily life, day to day, in your thoughts, day to day, cultivating this mind of concern for others. On the basis that all our happiness in the world comes from cherishing others. These others who we've contemplated, we're so dependent on. Just check up in your experience through cherishing others, for having the regard for others, for wishing for the welfare of others, the happiness it has brought you. Just think, all our wealth, all our wonderful experience, the good heart, liberation, enlightenment, all these comes from this altruistic attitude of cherishing others, but not just taking this as lip service, as words. Really check up. Is this true? Do I believe this? If we live our life with an attitude taking responsibility of freeing all other sentient beings from suffering and attaining their happiness, let's face it, we say it every day, you know, refuge and bodhicitta prayer. But if we live our life with this attitude, every single action we're going to do anyway, walking, eating, sitting, sleeping, everything becomes a service for others. We're doing it anyway. But that magnifies its power by offering that as a service to others. So simple. The only thing we're changing is our mind. Everything we do with this attitude of cherishing others, of concern for others, is unstained by the self-cherishing thought. In that way, it becomes pure Dharma, we are then embodying pure Dharma. In that way, we become a Buddha. So all our actions aimed at others, at their welfare, is our best, really our only best cause for happiness. Contemplate that again and again to develop the conviction of faith in that reality. So our ultimate aim is to be useful for others, for other living beings. Even you become useful for just one sentient being in reality, you fulfilled the purpose. So let's not try and get overwhelmed with this. Be realistic where you're at. Just as we need and wish everyone to be compassionate and loving to me, to support me, to help me, exactly the same. Every other being needs compassion, needs loving kindness, needs support, needs help from me. Everyone wants you to help them. Just like you don't want harm, only want help. Everyone wants that. Everyone deserves that. And on the basis of that, I become a Buddha. On the basis of that, I can really know how to help them every step of the way to their own ultimate happiness. Shantideva said, if I do not actually exchange my happiness for the suffering of others, I shall not attain the state of Buddhahood, even in cyclic existence. I shall have no joy. Check up, be wise, be kind, cherish others. So we can dedicate all the positive energy of this reflection to cultivate the mind, cherishing others more than self, holding sentient beings dearer than my life, even should they rise up as my enemies. By seeing that the thought, just the mere thought of taking the greatest care of sentient beings and leading them to enlightenment is the door to infinite knowledge. may I, due to their merits, obtain Buddhahood and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state as swiftly as possible. Okay, then relax. Open your eyes. Stretch. I think we can take a break. Maybe 10-minute break, okay? Just after 22. I think if people are muted, you can unmute yourself, right? And you can chat amongst yourselves. So I have, again, Venerable Yangshan and Venerable Wongmo here. They might want to have a chat. Hello. Hello, Annalie.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for your lovely.
Hi, Ross. Hello, Virginia. Graham, Leonie.
Hello, how are you?
Eva, Sarah. Hello, 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 everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Ingrid. How are you doing? Okay. It's tough, isn't it? Tough time.
I've got a revving car in the house next door, so it's a bit tough for me.
A minor obstacle.
I know, yes. It's sort of disturbing. I'm wishing him all the best for his car. Make sure he gets it right.
Yeah, that's right. He is the object of your practice right now, Graham.
Certainly, yes.
Very good. It's good to have your object there. Reality. Don't have to visualize anything. Okay, grab a tea or, well, or whichever. Chat if you wish. Yes, we had a little electrical blowout because we overloaded the PowerPoint. We've resolved it.
That's very well.
Make confession, because there is the circumstance, like, you know, when the police guys who took refuge, I talked about that, and they discussed, you know, that if I have to pull a gun, it's only to kill, it's never to maim. So that means all other methods haven't worked. So it's not like he's willy-nilly. He's done it in believing, and probably was protecting many other beings versus the one being.
And as difficult as that is, to think how many lives you saved through that. If you like, if you can talk to a being like that without being any Buddhist words, well, you're looking hello, but you don't have to be, you know, on what the Buddha says, but just say, well, look, you did that in your job. It's not about really nilly just going out and shooting with, you know, without regard. It's for the protection of how many beings were saved by that.
And abilities wants.
Well, that was probably because it couldn't cope. I mean, yeah, maybe. It's affected him. So everything's coming back to haunt him. And she's like, what you can say is, you don't want to die with this on your mind, so confess it, you know, go and talk to a priest, really get it all out there, put it all out there, and talk to him like that, I think. Yeah. Well, yeah, either that or just say it in front of her. You can do that. Yeah. And just say, go and see a priest. And if she says something else, he'll still hear what you've said and do whatever he does with that. I mean, that's up to him. It's just like, you don't have to die with this on your consciousness. You do whatever you can to make amends, and they use those words. Yes. And he's. I'm probably drinking as well. Yeah. This goes under there, so that isn't a spare pair. It goes under there.
I'm not sure if it's for someone who only uses them here, and that's where they leave them, or not.
They've got dirt on them, so. Yes, and it would be so easy because normally it's in the round as well. So what you do is you start with this bit on flat needles, going backwards and forwards. Yeah. Then you join it in the round, and just go back and forward, and then just go round and round and round and round. And then you don't actually have to sew this bit up. And then just decrease a bit at the time. Yes, yes, because a local guy might not have the background to understand
police force or an emergency. Yes, it's special, it's different. Yes, yes. Thinking about Father Mulcahy Match, you know, someone who was also on the front line, yes, with empathy for that particular situation. Yes. And absolution is the word really. Yeah, well, you have to atone for all the things he's done wrong. But I don't know just the difference between thought with being you guys coming back in? Of course.
Okay, folks. So you can see why these were passed on in secret at the time to those whose minds were ready when the great holy beings could see that. You know, through this technique, through Shantideva and Lama, well, eventually, you know, sort of through Atisha and so forth, becoming Geshe Chekawa for the 7-point cause and effect, becoming extant in the world. Very beneficial, but also very challenging, right? So anyone got some, hold on, I've got to bring the chat back up here, I think. Okay, I'm just reading the chat now. I didn't have it open. Is everyone hearing me okay? Is anyone hearing me? Can you indicate if you're hearing me online? I'm only
We can
saying
hear you. I can see you.
you can't see.
No. No.
Uh,
Yeah, we've lost your visual.
okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Not see.
Some reason that got stopped. I'll try and start it.
Yep. Visual too.
Okay. I'm getting good at the technology.
Congratulations.
It's taken how many months? Okay, so yeah, you're having a chat with Julie. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll just try and catch up with the chat. Yeah, I mean, these are very stressful times. You know, when we had the contact a monk and nun on the website, I asked for it to be taken down because now it's all spam, or every single message is spam. So it's not like, you know. Anyway, people can still ring up now, and finally the messages are being checked. Yeah, so it is very, very stressful time. I mean, we can say in our lives, every time's a stressful time, but the stress in our mind we can deal with and realize, is this helping me? You know, what is my stress in relation to how can I reduce that? And of course, the ways in which we can reduce that is in our mind. We can't reduce what's happening in the world or the circumstances. We find that ourselves in very much, you know, the extent to which we can do that. I mean, as the Buddha said, you know, I can't wash away your sins. I can't implant my realizations into your mental continuum. I can't, you know, purify your minds of all the afflictions. All I can do is teach. In other words, show the way, guide. This is what to do. And the rest is up to us. So we can take the stress as an invitation to say, do I want to continue to have this? What effect is it having on my body? What effect is it having on my mind? What effect is it having on my relationships? Does it help me get through the day? Does it help me sleep at night? And we can feel overwhelmed by that and feel like we're powerless, but in fact, we're not powerless. So if we can develop that conviction that there are things that I can do, just like when we sit to meditate and we say, release the energy around the thoughts, even that concept, introducing that, release the energy around the stress, it release, you know, can release the stress. Of course, meditating on the breath, particularly, you know, doing a whole body scan is very, very useful, of just, you know, going from the top of the head, lying down in the Shavasana posture with your arms out, like you do at the end of a yoga session, those who do yoga, you know, and you lie down and you have those few minutes of meditation with you. It's a formal meditation posture and your legs long and out. And just feel the support of the floor or the mat or bed or whatever you're lying on, and just allow that breath to soften on the breath out, any tension all the way from the top of your head. You can be very elaborate, particularly around the face, where we're around the eyes, around the brow, around the jaw, all those places where, you know, build up a lot of tension today, and shoulders, and you just gradually, softly, gently make your way down all the way to the tips of your toes and all the way back up the body, and then around the mind, releasing, relaxing all the way to the end of the breath out, all the way to the very end, just letting go all the rubbish, let it go, let it go. It'll come back, but you build the technique of being able to notice when it comes back. Oh, that's right, let go, let go, let go. We only learn things by repetition, right? Familiarize over and over again. It doesn't come instantly. So you just sort of slowly chip away in it by whatever means. In this icy weather, warm bath, you know, really self-nurturing, you know, finding things that really, you know, I always think, you know, get a cuddly blanket, soft. And when I've got two nuns in front of me that now have warm zens, I think they're feeling a bit warmer, correct? Yeah, good. Okay. So yeah, and it's good that you, Julie, put it out there so that others are sharing the love, you know, sharing that back, okay? All right, so in relation to the meditation so far, anyone have any questions, comments, anything you want to share from your experience in relation to this? If you don't, we'll continue on. Anyone here? Venerables? Good. I'm getting a thumbs up. I'm getting some chai. Oh, I did want to share some things, surprisingly. So what was it? I've talked about his holiday. Oh, Nyungnes. Is Gompo here today? Because I can't see everyone's names. I don't know if he's here.
I can't see him, Choki.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's only, oh, that's right, we don't have the screen on today. You can't see. Oh, yeah, because of using too much power here, these girls here can't see you on the screen, which they could before. Okay. Yeah, he's not here today. 7 degrees, Ross. Okay. I hope you're warm. Suddenly you hear somebody else is in 7 degrees and you feel warmer. It works. Thank you. That was very kind.
10 at you, though.
10 in you, look.
I'm at 18 now.
Oh, 18.
18.
We just went up 8 degrees in 1 nanosecond.
Reset.
Nyungnes. So one thing I want to say, one thing that was circulating here around our WhatsApp was, and I'll share it online with those Dharma jewels, with the Dharma jewels. Eva, you can share. His Holiness is a recording, maybe some of you got, of His Holiness the Dalai Lama reciting and doing the practice of prostrations, the Confessions of the 35 Buddhas. Now, he is reciting it in Tibetan. Also, it did remind me of the Nyungnes, or actually Venerable Chöying said, oh, we can use this when we do Nyungnes. That's one of the things we do. So Nyungne, this Chenrezig practice developed by Bhikshuni Lakshmi, and a powerful practice to Chenrezig with a lot of recitation, a lot of recitation, but including both the long Dharani and the short Om Mani Padme Hung mantra of Chenrezig, which we did yesterday, and also a lot of prostrations. And also, it's like you do over 2 days, and the second day nil by mouth. And the first day you have 1 meal, and there's a few other things as well. The prostrations. It's actually good to do it this time of year. In fact, we would be doing that here right now, or about to do it right now here at Chenrezig Institute. We had planned to do 8, culminating on Sakadawa, on Virginia's birthday. However, Vajrayana Institute is doing, oh, I didn't finish the bit about the prostrations. Yes, the recording, that we use that for when we're doing the prostrations. We can prostrate with His Holiness voice. It's a rare, precious opportunity to share his personal practice. Wonderful what's coming out, isn't it? Fantastic. We've created the karma for that. Anyway, so Vajrayana Institute is doing it. I haven't had a chance to catch up with Venerable Jakey. It was always going to be online. It seems like they're still doing it online rather than physically in the centre. But regardless, if it is, they're still doing online, I'll check that up too and circulate it for those who are interested. You might want to participate from afar, which would be easier if you have done previously than if you haven't. I'm sure Venerable Jakey will make it as accessible as she can. Of course, one has to have the text, so maybe I should check up with her how that's all going to work. To join from afar. We can check up. That's actually starting on Sakadawa, and it's just for that weekend. So it's Sakadawa, so the 5th of June is the Saturday, Friday. So that weekend, Venerable Jakey will be leading. Just letting you know that's happening. And I noticed on their website, they said, by preference to have the Great Chenrezig Empowerment or a tantric empowerment. It's not actually a prerequisite to do Nyungnes, because of course those of you doing Discovering Buddhism, which is why I'm emphasizing, those of you wishing to complete all the elements, doing 3 Nyungnes is one of those. And so of course, everyone who does Discovering Buddhism hasn't necessarily, and usually not many people would have in the course would have any empowerments at all, because it's a big introductory or foundational course. So anyway, if you, it currently says on their website, if you have a tantric empowerment, if you don't, get in touch with the SPC. The difference is that if you don't have, you visualize Chenrezig in front. So that all gets explained as you're doing it. So there's no, nothing to get in the way. of doing. However, of course, next weekend, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is bestowing the Chenrezig empowerment on next Friday, Saturday. So I thought, oh, that's nice synchronicity. It comes just before the Nyungne. I mean, it's nice synchronicity for this part of the world in terms of timing. It comes just before our Nyungne here well, I say here, we're all virtually connected now, right? So it is sort of here, our time zone, right? So if you have questions about that practice, I mean, we could, yes, we would have started by now. Yeah, that's correct. Where do we find the details of His Holiness the Dalai Lama Friday, Saturday? If you go onto dalailama.com, it'll have the link there to dalailama.com live. The link's there. It's got it on their homepage. You go there and it tells you that it's coming up and you find the link there. And it's on in Queensland time, which is also New South Wales, Victoria time. Anyone in those states, then it starts 1:30 our time, PM on Friday and Saturday. So a nice civilized time for us. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful to have these opportunities. Yes, 1:30 PM. Okay. Anything else? Anyone want to unmute and say something? Including the two nuns here, they can unmute as well.
Can you explain what they are, Choki, please?
What are?
Nyungnyes.
Oh, Nyungne.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nyungne literally means abiding in retreat. Literally, that's what it means. So I don't know how easy that would be able to do in your home circumstance. So it is, as I say, extreme sport of Tibetan Buddhism. It's pretty, there's a whole bunch of practices, of course. So what it is, so say the one happening at Vajrayana Institute. So on the Friday night, there'll be the introduction and so forth. So everything gets set up, you set up a nice altar to Chenrezig and so forth. We have one we prepared earlier. And then you start the practice. The first session is pre-dawn to take the 8 Mahayana precepts. So the 8 Mahayana precepts of the 5 regular precepts people may be familiar with of no killing, stealing, lying. And then the sexual one is no sexual conduct. And then there are things like not sitting on large, high or expensive beds or thrones. The expensive part is relevant to that in terms of if your bed is naturally high and it's not because you've got a 4-poster bed and puffing yourself up with pride. So if it's that category, don't do it. Put your bed down. But otherwise, just our regular, ordinary, in other words, don't fuss about that one. And then no sort of perfumes, no adorning your body type things, perfumes and jewelry and all of that sort of thing for that period. No singing and dancing and for that period. And the main one people have difficulty with is the one of the food one, right? So on the first day, you have one meal before midday. And then the second day, as I said, you have nil by mouth. And then you have a big breakfast ready to go for the final morning. You have a session before dawn and then you have big brekkie. So that's how it's sort of laid out. And each time you're doing a lot of Chenrezig practice, so cultivating this compassionate mind, particularly the mantra recitation. And then also each session, there's 3 times where you do a lot of, where you do prostrations. And the one at the end is the killer one, because that's like 20 minutes of prostrating. I don't know how it's going to, I think if you haven't done before, definitely you could give it a go, even maybe for one session, say, I don't want to do the whole Nyungne, I can't do that. I've got family responsibilities. I can't just, or I don't have the space at home to have that quiet to do it. Oh yes, and the day nil by mouth is also zip the lip. So you're not even having water and you're not talking. So you might say, I can't do that at home. But you could, I think, and they'd have to check with the SPC at Vajrayana Institute, maybe check in for a session at least to familiarize with the practice, because it's a wonderful, we use that sadhana, that practice, for when we do a Mani retreat here, which is, the Chenrezig practice retreat, without doing all the fasting and all the other bits and bobs. So if you're interested to even participate in a session, I'd say just, if you go onto the Vajrayana Institute, vajrayana.com.au, and it's got the SPC's email, and just contact Rain, he's the SPC there, and say, yep, I want to do it, but I'm not sure I can meet all those criteria. That's on the page, because all the information's there on the page, on their homepage. So we will, when we can, be offering them here as soon as that's possible. I mean, I did contemplate whether we could, as we were talking a bit yesterday, can we possibly have that happen here? Not really at the moment. We're not set up for that. We're not set up to offer food. Our cafe's closed, or there's a few. Anyway, we will plan for it as soon as we're able to invite people back to engage in that sort of practice. So we are at the moment in Queensland able to invite 10 people. We're not doing that as a public thing, because how do you choose 10 people? Like, you can come, but you can't. Like, how do you do that? So we haven't, we're not doing that yet as a sort of, we're not ready for that as a public opening, because we can't regulate 10 people coming into this property. And of course, we'd love just to have everyone back. We're not at that point yet. Okay. Somebody's given a link. Thank you, Ella. There's a link there about the event next weekend with the Dalai Lama. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Graham, that gives you a bit of a fill-in. So when we are back together, we can go in more detail about that, because it is the Chenrezig empowerment. Is it a tantric practice? Yes, it is. It's not a highest. It's a great Chenrezig, but I think it will be a Kriya Tantra, Action Tantra. I meant to check on that. In other words, you would take, therefore, so if I'm correct in assuming it's going to go ahead as we say Wong, that's like a full empowerment. A Jenang is like a blessing. Yes, somebody jumping in.
Yeah, I'm just checking that link that Ella just gave, and I'll just read it now. This ceremony will be a Wang, meaning it is a full initiation tantra. So that's on that link that Ella just gave. A
full initiation, and the rest of the words?
So into action tantra.
Yeah, action.
There will be commitments and responsibilities. Yep. Yeah.
And the commitments?
You officially become a Buddhist. You take the holiness Dalai Lama as your guru. You fully commit to any practice requirements, such as a number of recitations of on Mani Padme Hum.
Yeah, that's usually, yeah.
Yeah, and you take on a full set of Bodhisattva vows.
Yes.
And you do not practice Shuddhan. So that's all it says on this even.
Yeah. So when you,
link.
yeah, I was going to say, you do take Bodhisattva vows with that. It is a Kriya Action Tantra. So you do take Bodhisattva vows. If people, which is quite nice with where we're up to in these teachings, but if people haven't previously taken the Bodhisattva vows and want to know more about that, then just send an email. I mean, as we say, it's one Bodhisattva vow, the vow to, we did talk about it at the teaching weekend, but maybe some of you weren't here for that, it's one vow, but, you know, there's all these downfalls and other ways in which you can break the vow, and you take those pledges, you know. So there's a little bit of explanation there. So if you want some explanation, just if you're wanting to take this empowerment and you're wanting some explanation beforehand, maybe just send an email to me and I can respond, you know, maybe put your phone number as well so we can have a chat. So yes, you take Bodhisattva vows. It sounds like there's going to be a commitment of Om Mani Padme Hum. That's a fairly usual thing. His Holiness gave at, when we were at, in Sydney at the Olympic Park, yeah. His Holiness gave this then. And then Lama Zopa, I know, you know, when having been present when Lama Zopa has offered the Great Chenrezig empowerment, the requirement there was one mala. This was Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So each time, each empowerment can be different in terms of the number of this or that you do, you make a commitment to do. And so the Om Mani Padme Hungs were one mala for the rest of your life, or 3 nyungnes within the next 5 years. So if you hear something like that, it sounds like His Holiness is going to say Om Mani Padme Hum as the commitment, because, you know, keeping in mind that there could be a lot of people who maybe don't even know what they're taking on board. So if subsequently or any time you receive a action tantra or any other level empowerment, it says this or this, do the like Om Mani Padme Hungs anyway, because you never know if you're going to be able to do the other part, even though you want to. We thought, sure, everyone can do 8 here right now. Well, that didn't happen, did it? So all the best laid plans, as we say. So we just cover ourselves, you know, for both sides. And one mala of Om Mani Padme Hum, 1 minute, you know, like it's not a big commitment in terms of time. So you don't have any of the other commitments that come along when one takes tantric vows. So you don't have to, you know, there are other things that come along when you take the tantric vows, which is when there's a highest yoga tantra empowerment. So this is one of the lower tantras, okay? Even though it's a great Chenrezig empowerment, it's a lower tantra empowerment. There's 4 schools, right? Okay.
Good for a first one.
It's great for a first one. Absolutely. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. So the prerequisite for taking the Bodhisattva vows is taking the refuge vows. So that may mean if there are people, His Holiness, I have been in situations where His Holiness is given refuge anyway, and it sort of covers it, you know, just in case. It comes along quickly, you know, like that. But good, you know. So it may be so that even if people are thinking, oh, well, I don't want to take that commitment right now, you may be able to renew your refuge vows along the way, and you can participate, and just at the time of you don't, you can still join in, but not, you know, do the repeat after me and do this and do that, so that you from your side taking as a blessing. I think that is usually offered. If not, His Holiness will give the instruction for you to leave now, you know. Stop now. But usually for action tantra, that's okay. I think, you know, in my experience, but my experience very limited. Okay. All right. So, so the main practice associated with exchanging self-worth with others is this practice of taking and giving, of Tonglen, of giving great love and taking compassion. Taking with great compassion, not taking compassion, taking with great compassion. In other words, we're doing this visualization that we're giving all our happiness and all our merits, all our virtues towards all beings, wishing for their happiness. And we're visualizing, if I could, I would take on all your suffering. We know that we can't do that. A Buddha can't even do that. But we want to take on all the suffering because we can't bear to see others have it. But we visualize that as smashing the self-cherishing mind, self-cherishing attitude, thought, which is like a dark rock at the heart. So just to a little bit from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. The practice of giving generates great love successfully, and the practice of taking increases one's compassion quickly. Before starting this, the great Mahayana compassion should be meditated on deeply by thinking with feeling how good it is that all mother sentient beings should be completely released from suffering, and by remembering all the different sufferings they're experiencing. Also, the great Mahayana love should be deeply meditated on with a strong, heartfelt feeling, rejoicing at the thought that all sentient beings should have a great happiness, and by visualizing, giving them all the great pleasures, including enlightenment. The main purpose of this practice is to control and extinguish self-attachment. In other words, taking the greatest care of only ourselves. Such a mind often doubts and is worried and afraid of temporal life sufferings, hot and cold, hunger and thirst. Besides all this, we should have the understanding of the negative results and shortcomings of not giving and the numberless benefits of giving. What our egoistic mind doesn't want to give away are our most cherished body, our possessions and enjoyments, and our merits. These three objects would be dedicated to control instantly our egoistic mind, which is the main destroyer of happiness and enlightenment and the cause of all suffering and all our problems. Okay, so we'll engage in this practice having spent the preparation time of cultivating the mind of compassion and the mind of loving concern for others. We've done that extensively this morning. And I think I like the presentation of Venerable Sangye Kadro, where she says, you know, start where we're at, start with ourselves. Okay. So we'll do that. So sitting comfortably with your back straight and relax all the muscles, all the, you know, soften with the breath out. Will any tension dissolve with the breath out? Come completely to a state of comfort and ease. And then the mind releasing any attachment to thoughts, staying simply in the present by focusing on the breath. And generating a strong altruistic motivation, a vast mind of great compassion, loving concern. You can think, I'm going to do this meditation to increase all my positive feelings of compassion and love and wanting to help others. So that my life and everything I do is never harmful to others and only ever beneficial. And then go into your heart and get in touch with the basic feelings that we all share with everyone else, wanting to be happy, wanting to have our basic needs, food, shelter, being comfortable and so forth met, feeling safe, feeling love, having friends, having whatever we need for a satisfying life, and to avoid problems. So just as everything we do is motivated by these aspirations, the same for all beings. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. We all deserve to be happy, to be free from pain, to have the needs to exist, have those needs fulfilled. I think if we are all the same in wanting peace, who wanting comfort, wanting happiness, wanting to feel satisfied and not experience any unhappiness, pain or problem, is it right for me to care only for my own happiness and so forth? My own problems. So having contemplated previously the shortcomings of the self-cherishing attitude, because after all, it's so limited, only thinking about one person. And check, has that brought me any lasting happiness? So we can recognize the self-centeredness is totally counterproductive. And cultivating the wish, the aspiration to be less focused on yourself and more loving and caring towards others. So we can transform our mind in this way, little bit by little bit, one step at a time, baby bodhisattvas on the path. And one way, one very powerful way of doing this is through this practice of Tonglen, of taking and giving. So we can start this practice by starting with ourselves. Call to mind a problem that is currently troubling you. You know, maybe if this is new to you, this practice, start with something small. Don't go for the big one, you know. Start with something small that your mind can handle. Maybe some physical ailment, some pain or discomfort or illness. Or it might be some emotional state like the loneliness, take that one, or hurt or sadness. And feel how painful this problem is to your mind and how your mind wants to push it away. I mean, that's natural. And then think about your own problem, your own laziness, loneliness, sorry, or maybe laziness, your own loneliness, or your own cancer, or your own sore back, or your own, whatever problem you're experiencing, sadness, hurt. And just contemplate. It's a fact. I'm not the only person in the world experiencing that. Many, many others are experiencing that. So if you know others who are, or you know that others are, think about others who may be experiencing the same problem as you or a similar problem to you, maybe even to a greater degree than yourself. You just think, you know, I'm not alone in experiencing this. So, for example, having lost a loved one, you know, think of others who have lost many loved ones in a war or in natural disaster, or those who've lost loved ones in COVID. You know, I just had a message last night at someone who's just lost the third member of her close family in the last 18 months. Her brother died, her mother previously died, and her daughter died over that period of time. And of course, she's in Australia and her brother and family are in Africa, so she can't even go there, you know. I think a lot of people like that, like we know that anguish, we know that pain. So we can identify with that with others. Generate compassion for them, thinking and really feeling how wonderful it would be if they can be free from their suffering. And because it's the suffering you're experiencing, that wish is so genuine because you know what it's like. You absolutely know what it's like. You can't bear to have that suffering for yourself, and certainly don't want anyone else to have that same suffering. Really feel that. Want that. And then decide that you will accept to take on your own experience of this problem, which you're experiencing anyway, but you'll take that on with the compassionate wish that by doing so, all those others you've reflected on will be free of their suffering if you take, if you could, you would take on their suffering that you can't bear to experience for yourself. So let go of any resistance or fear or aversion towards your problem, and just let your mind rest in gentle, peaceful acceptance of that for your own benefit and for the benefit of all those you've thought about, you've called to mind. You know who are experiencing it as well. So starting in this way with our own problems, our own difficulties, we can gradually, take on bigger and bigger problems, or, experiences we have at the present, or problems we will probably have in the future. And then we can all extend that out towards others. Towards others' problems, others' difficulties, others' suffering. So imagine in front of you someone you know, someone you love, someone who's dear to you, who's suffering physically, mentally, and put yourself in their situation. Try and feel what their suffering is like, what they're experiencing. Someone dear to you, you're probably very familiar with what that suffering is. And generate that genuine wish for them to be free of that. Feel how wonderful it would be if they could be free of all their suffering, all their problems. Develop that as a genuine wish. And generate the courageous mind wishing to take their suffering upon yourself. If we could, we would. That's the courageous mind. So that then visualize all your self-centeredness, all your attachment, or your self-cherishing, or your jealousy, anger, attachment, all those self-centered states of mind form like a dark, solid rock at your heart. And then visualize that your loved one's suffering, the one that you've called to mind in front, that their suffering is like arising as thick, dark smoke floating out of their body. And as you breathe in, imagine taking that dark smoke of suffering into yourself. So it comes to your heart chakra, not your physical heart, when we say that dark rock at the heart, which is our self-centeredness and delusions, and smashes that to smithereens. The rock of self-centeredness and the suffering of yourself and that of the other person, completely non-existent. And feel a sense of joy. It's like a weight lifting, isn't it? That the person is now free from their suffering and their problems, and that you've softened your heart, opened your heart. This self-cherishing attitude is completely smashed to smithereens. And feel very joyful. And as you breathe out all your positive qualities, all your happiness, all your health, all your merits in the form of bright light, brilliant white light. And imagine it transforms into whatever will bring joy, bring peace to the mind of your dear one visualized in front, whatever it is, transforming into material things, love, friendship, support, compassion, courage, equanimity, whatever. Imagine their needs, their wishes being fulfilled, their mind being filled with peace, with happiness. And all the knowledge, all the qualities of the spiritual path. So we visualize transforming ourselves into that precious jewel offering. As Geshe Doga says, that precious jewel is the Dharma, everything needed for the spiritual path. Absolutely everything they desire and need. Unless your mind rests in the feeling of joyfulness that you've been able to help your loved one in this way. Really feel that has happened. And feel great joy, bliss, love. So recalling our motivation for engaging in this meditation to cultivate the mind of Bodhicitta, you can dedicate all the positive energy of this meditation to the happiness and enlightenment of all beings without exception, starting with myself, by myself alone. Okay, so then relax. Open your eyes, adjust to the light, to sights around you. So as we become more and more familiar with this practice, you know, we can combine this practice of the taking on the suffering of others, smashing the hard rock of self-centeredness of our heart. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, it strikes and shatters the unimaginably black, rigid rock, which is the wrong conception of the self-existent I, the attachment to taking more care of oneself than others, and the ordinary conceptions situated in the heart chakra. It explodes into pieces, instantly disappearing, leaving only the mere emptiness of it all. And then when we become familiar with it, we say, okay, taking and then giving on the breath. So then as you breathe in through your right nostril, or the sufferings enter in the form of very dark fog, which becomes like a laser beam, a thunderbolt, which plummets with fearful force of lightning, of a dangerous electrical storm, shattering that rigid rock at the heart. So when we had an electrical storm, we had that lightning here happening outside, right outside, just like, it was pretty powerful. I'd never been so close to lightning strike. I'd never been so close. Fortunately, weren't any closer, anybody, you know, everyone was safe. But it's quite powerful, isn't it? Just instant kaboom. So this instant kaboom of the self-cherishing, and then that just softens, open your heart. So, and then as you breathe out through the left nostril, sending out white light, which is yours and the Buddha's holy body, visualize that. So as you breathe in, breathing in like that, and as you breathe, as you breathe in, smashing the self-centeredness, visualize then that you receive the form body and the wisdom body of the Buddha. So whichever form body you wish, it can be Chenrezig, it can be Maitreya Buddha, it can be Shakyamuni Buddha. Your Buddha to be. And the Dharmakaya, wisdom mind, knows exactly your body, speech, and mind are one with the Buddha's. Visualize like that. Holy body, holy speech, holy mind. And so as you breathe out through the left nostril, pure white light, which is both yours and Lord Buddha's holy body, to all of the sentient beings around you. Wow. Each atom of light becomes everything in happiness that all beings need. Okay? Everything they wish for. And everything they receive, all their enjoyments, becomes, transforms, generates an understanding of the Dharma and grants all levels of realization up to and including enlightenment. So they become enlightened into their own holy body, Rupakaya, Buddha body, and Dharmakaya, mind. So we start with those dear. Again, then we, you know, the ones that we have difficulty with, and then the ones we're indifferent to, which is pretty much all the other beings that exist. And then, but also we can go through those, you know, there's a good way to familiarize, and this is very elaborately done. We don't have time now, which is why I'm just mentioning in the Lamrim outlines, Venerable Annie, Venerable Karen Vallam, Lamrim outlines. Elaborately in that, on the practice of Tonglen, you can go through every realm of existence, and you know, we have to have got the teachings to familiarize a bit with the sufferings of the different realms of existence. Those of you who participated here in the Samsara and Nirvana module, we probably didn't do enough of that. Lama Zopa Rinpoche at those, Leonie did the 1-month Copan course with Venerable Robina, right? Just recently. Yes.
Yes.
We know you did. But at the beginning of those, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa would spend, what did you have? 4 weeks? Lama Zopa spent 3 weeks on the suffering of the lower realms, you know, hell realms, suffering. People would get despairing and go, help, help, get me out of here. And then Lama Yeshe had to come and buoy them up to keep going. That's what we heard anyway. But becoming familiar with the suffering of all those different realms and thinking, you know, the sending down the cooling rain and you know, I don't know, snow down to the hot hells and so forth, visualizing that, or the cold hells, visualizing all the warmth of the hottest suns and hot water bottles and whatever, you know. Why not? Everything for them. And then the animal realm, and then the hungry ghost predator realm, and all the human beings. We're more familiar with that. We're more familiar with the animal realm, what they might need and want and desire, but also the Dharma. So you go through elaborately all the realms of existence, and then, you know, all the bodhisattvas, all your gurus, everybody, all the monasteries, all the Dharma centers, everything. So you can become very elaborate in this whole practice. It's all laid out. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has laid it out very extensively. I didn't check whether that's already in the Wish Fulfilling Golden Sun, but if it's in there, if you don't already have the link to that, we can send you the link for that. It probably is actually in there as well. Check that. So it can become very vast and expansive, and at the same time, we're educating ourselves on, you know, the sufferings of the lower realms. Why? Because that generates the mind of renunciation. I don't want that. At least the lower realms, but also the upper realms as well. I don't want those suffering either. I don't want the suffering. In fact, get me out of samsara altogether. Thank you very much. And cultivate on top of that the wish for all other beings to be free from samsara. Thank you very much. Speed towards enlightenment. That's the bodhicitta mind. Okay, so anything about that practice? So we started off with it, identifying for ourselves actual problems. It's very useful, because when you have those actual difficulties and problems, you can think, of course we think, I fell over and hurt my back, ouch. And you think, may everybody be free who's got a sore back. And probably most of them have got a more sore back than me. May they be free of that immediately. Because it doesn't make your back any better, but it makes your mind better. So we take the opportunity of our own suffering to visualize taking on the suffering of others. And this is a practice you do in secret. You don't go around saying, I'm going to take on your suffering, right? Or I'm practicing Tonglen for you. You do it quietly, secretly, right? So maybe when you're with somebody who's very angry, we know you've got to zip the lip, but why not? Take it on. You know what that anger feels like. You've been angry yourself. It's a horrible suffering. Take on the suffering of the anger. Don't take on the anger and become angry yourself. We're very well practiced at that. Don't respond with anger. But that suffering, that painful energy, that hot energy of anger, and send them cool, loving, kind thoughts. You might think that's an advanced technique, but little by little we get there, right? There's something there. Oh, the Vajrayana link. Thank you. Thank you. There's the Vajrayana link for the Nyungnes. The assignment questions for the module. Oh, yeah, dates. Oh, I've got dates in my mind. Doesn't help. See if I can remember. We had dates previously, those who, you know, in pre-COVID days, we had some dates. And And I thought we'd do that same weekend and the weekend after. Having said that, I have to check what that weekend was. Because right now, I'm not remembering whether it's the 12th and 13th and 19th and 20th, or it's the 19th and 20th, 26th and 27th. If you don't mind, can I send around the dates, because I've forgotten. I don't know if I can get the CI. Just give me a moment and I can see. There won't be anything online because I haven't told them what to put. Sorry, folks, I will have to check.
Choki is 20th and the 21st of June.
Is the one in there?
Yes, it was the original schedule.
Right, 2021.
Yeah.
And so the one after that will be 27, 28.
No, the one after that is the 18th and 19th of July.
Oh, yes. No, I understand what you're saying there. Well, we might do the 19, 20 and 21 and 20. No, sorry. I will get the right day, Saturday, 2021. And what's that saying? Yeah, that's 2021 and, oh, hold on. Yeah, I have to check. It's either 13, 14 and 2021 or 2021 and 27, 28. Does it matter? I mean, apart from you have to know, is there, yeah, no, I don't mean that. Sorry, I'll have to check up. Just want it evenly spaced between June and July, so we're not running into ourselves. Yeah, I think what we'll do is 2021. Oh, no. Let me get back to you. I can be like this for the next 15 minutes. 20 and 20 of June. Because what I'm thinking is the next module, Transforming Problems into Happiness, we would do over 2 weekends, the teaching, and then, yes, those dates in July, 17, 18 or whatever, in July will be the, I think, the practice. But let me get back to you. We may be out of lockdown by then, and that would be a wonderful thing. But maybe not by next month. So it doesn't seem. So June, yeah, sorry. So I think, yeah, the 2 weekends in June, whichever 2 weekends in June, we'll do the teaching module, and then the one in July will be the practice. So the one in July can stay the same. And the assignment, I sent out the questions. So the questions, there are 4 questions, all 4. But it's not a thesis. It's a short response. 1 page altogether is good, if you can, if that's possible. I think it's possible. Yeah, so Ingrid, I think you probably received the question. Some people have been telling me I've received this a number of times now, and then other people maybe. If you haven't received it and you wish to receive it, just email me. But I think if those regulars, if you check your emails, you'll find you have the questions. And this is the questions for those wishing to, you know, do the formal completion of the module. Okay. as part of ongoing Discovering Buddhism studies. If you don't know what I'm saying, but you're intrigued, send me an email. Okay. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left. So the mind of Bodhicitta. So this is the final result of all our good efforts of practice, the mind of Bodhicitta. So we will just reflect on that as our final meditation for this morning. So first of all, thinking of all the positive energy we've generated here so far together, yesterday and today, of all the courageous minds of equanimity and compassion and loving kindness, and even willing to take on the suffering of others, pretty amazing, willing to do that. The great compassion that willing to do that for all sentient beings without exception, without discrimination. And thinking that as much as I can, offering service to others. We offer service already, you know, to countless beings already in our lives for their short-term happiness, the comforts of this life, that's one thing. But on top of that, as much as we can, offering service for others, serving their long-term happiness, lifetime to lifetime, of all future lives. Cultivating that attitude. Even more important than that is leading all beings without exception in all realms of existence. All our fellow suffering sentient beings into the everlasting happiness of liberation, which is the cessation of the whole entire spectrum of suffering or the disturbing states of mind, or the afflicted states of mind, or the negative thoughts, disturbing emotions, toxic minds, completely eliminated from all the problems of death and rebirth and all the rest of suffering. Bringing them to liberation from not only the suffering, but the causes of suffering, all their disturbing negative thoughts and karma, is the most important means, more important than obtaining the happiness of this life or the happiness of future lives. And even more important, that is offering to bring all beings into the peerless happiness of full enlightenment, which is cessation of even the most subtle, sneaky little imprints on the mind, subtle mistakes of the subtle dualistic view, holding a separation between self and others, holding subject, object. Free of all that. In order to offer this service of bringing all sentient beings to their own Buddhahood, to full enlightenment, right now, I need to follow a perfectly qualified guide who has trod the path before me. And then myself become a perfectly qualified guide, having myself ceased all the obscurations of the mind, purified completely all the disturbing thoughts, toxic emotions, all the afflictions, and completely realized all there is to be realized, know everything, know reality exactly as it is, having the omniscient mind of a Buddha. With the omniscient mind, I will have perfect power to see all existence and perfect methods for each and every living being's inner development, knowing exactly where they're coming from, exactly where they're at, exactly how to guide each and every one. Therefore, I must achieve the state of a Buddha, the fully awakened mind, which is the meaning of the word Buddha, fully awake, in order to benefit all beings and lead them to the fulfillment of their highest potential, which is their own enlightenment, their own Buddhahood. So remain in a state of concentration on this most vast, precious aspiration, the Bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, for as long as you can. And dedicating all this most powerful positive energy. We have no idea just how powerful all this energy is that we've generated here together, beyond our imagining, beyond our wildest dreams. So dedicate all of that to continue to grow and grow the body mind, with a precious body mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In my own mind, the minds of all beings. Thank you very much. Enjoy your practice of Bodhicitta. I mean, just the word just brings joy to the heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll be in touch about those dates. Anybody who isn't in the loop and wants to be in the loop, send an email. So that's on the website. Just drop a line and I'll get back to you. Probably won't get back to you tomorrow because we've got a little road trip. We're going to see a fellow nun in Brisbane. We're taking Geshe-la for a drive. Okay, thank you very much. And talk soon.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's lots of thank yous. A lot of thank you. Come on, you girls, come and say hello before we all go offline.
Yes.
The Dharma sisters here.
Ah, Wang Mo.
Bye. See you all in a couple of weeks.
Hi, Wang Mo.
And Yan Chen.
Yan Chen, lovely to see you.
Hope to see you all in person very soon.
Yeah.
Just hold the fort for us.
We are. We're doing a good job here, aren't we, girls?
Yeah.
Peace and Dharma hugs.
Hey.
Yay.
Group hug.
Group hug.
Okay. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Safe drive tomorrow. Bye.
Yes.